Well, turmoil the past since Peter passed. Is there like a sense of closure for you that this chapter's over and you guys are now moving on to a new one?
Definitely for sure. I think everybody in here, honestly, the clubhouse, we're not really, those are things that are out of our control. We can't control those things. We can go out there and play some good baseball like we've been doing, and we're going to continue to do that. I think our goal is to do that, but to definitely know that we have a future ahead of us and not just a little running out of words here, but just knowing that we have a future ahead of us and know what a game plan could be, is motivating.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV and the Section 1904 podcast. I am Marty Caswell. That is TV star Darren Smith. We are brought to you, TV star, baby. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. That's right, TV star. I see you dressing down now for our show because it's a podcast. It's YouTube, but I saw your best threads with Darnay Tripp and Todd Strain on NBC. Good stuff. Good job yesterday. As always.
You had to start there, huh? You had to just put me on the defensive. Now
I did.
I'm on the back foot already, right out of the gate, because I woke up not happy with my appearance, because then what happens is Darnay is kind enough to send these clips around. And he's like, hey, would you repost? And he doesn't ask for repost, but he makes it clear like,
hey, go for it.
Yeah, I've made you a collaborator on this Instagram reel.
Oh,
and we all know what that suggestion is. Like, do you want to be a collaborator? Do you want to post this? I'm like, God, I don't like the way, I don't think it looked good. I'm sorry. And I was unhappy with the way I looked on television.
Okay.
I decided to go with some jeans and a sports coat, but the sports coat was part of a suit. And I just don't think it worked. I just think when I looked at it, I just don't think it worked well. And my wife texted me in the middle of the segment. She said something about my forehead being shiny. So now I'm even more defensive in the middle of it. And, I have this anti-shine stick that I'm using in commercial breaks.
Are you serious? You do? You buy makeup with you?
It's not makeup.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, I have one right here. It's called the, I'll give it a free plug, the Harry's Anti-Shine Stick. So I appreciate you saying that. I don't know how sincere you actually are, but I don't know that's, I was like, I just have to come up with a look, because these are people that are professional television broadcasters, and the wardrobe is part of their economy.
Sure.
It's not really part of my economy, Marty.
No.
I sat here on Friday when the news broke about Padre ownership. I sat in this chair for about 5 hours, completely unshowered, wearing workout clothes, just doing show after show after show. I don't know that that's a better alternative or that's more representative of me or you, but I don't know. I have to figure something out before I accept another invitation to go back on that show.
Next time, I think you should demand a makeup person and a wardrobe. Just say, listen, Darnay, these are my sizes. This is the brand that I like, because, different brands fit you differently. And just demand that you get your own makeup person.
So you agree? So you agree that I look kind
of
shit?
I'm just saying that if you're going to be self-conscious and then you tell your Leah, don't text me. If I'm shiny, don't tell me. And as a matter of fact, never tell me. Listen, if you want to, you can redo it. You can redo it right here.
So you're agreeing though?
No, I'm not agreeing. I think that you should go in your true state. Show us who you are when you appear. Right? Go ahead, put on a jersey, put a hat, tuck your jersey into your jeans.
I don't wear jerseys or hats.
I know that. I'm just saying. Do this. Just do this.
Look either. I don't know what my look is. I don't know. I tried to dress it up a little bit. I don't think I executed it. And then, you have to put that IFB, they give you that microphone, the lavalier microphone, and it has this big clunky box. And I initially was clipping it to my waist, but they're like, no, put it on the inside of your jacket so we can tuck all of these wires into the jacket. And then I thought that made it look a little bulky. And I had a surf and turf burrito yesterday afternoon. So I had a little bit of a burrito baby going on. And I felt like, oh man, I look fat. And if you notice in the first segment of the show, my jacket was buttoned and it looked like that button was screaming for help. I was like, I've lost a lot of weight. I'm in the best shape of my life, but I didn't look that way on television. So I think the camera added a couple of pounds. Plus I had all this equipment in my pocket. And then I unbuttoned it because I looked around, and Darnay and Todd Strain, these are well-dressed people. And they looked better than I, and they had their sports coats unbuttoned. So I said, well, let me unbutton this for segment 2. And I don't think I pulled that off either. And then I was uncomfortable standing up. I didn't know we were going to be. I don't know. Thank you for the invite, Darnay. I'll never see you again.
Okay. I'm sorry. Wow. I meant this to be a compliment. Great job, Darren, but I'm glad that I'm here for you. I'm glad that you're able to vent. I feel like I'm your therapy today. I thought you did great, but now that you've done this, now that you have pointed this out, I'm going to go back and watch those clips, and I'll be eyeing your suit button to see if indeed it was begging for help after a bereavement.
Thank you though. They did play clips from Marty Time TV.
Oh, very good.
So they played some of the Jared Diamond interview. If you missed that, you can go back. You can find it from Friday. Jared Diamond of the Wall Street Journal, who broke the news that Jose Feliciano Jr. and his wife Kwanzaa Jones were going to be part of the purchase. They were going to be buying the Padres for an estimated price of $3.9 billion. He explained some detail. Probably the most detail we've had up until this point. We're recording on Friday or Monday morning, I should say.
Yes.
Probably the most detail that's still out there. I spent my weekend looking up a bunch of things about Jose Feliciano Jr. and his about what kind of person and who are they? And you go onto YouTube and you find these people, they're speaking at all these seminars all over the world. And you're like, oh, let me watch this. Maybe I'll learn something. 5 minutes in, like dead asleep. I mean, guys go and speak at these like venture capital, private equity seminars in Singapore. You're like, what are they talking about? I don't even understand this. What does this have to do with baseball? And the answer is really nothing. It's just how they've made their money in this world. So I wish I had something more to add here, but I know you had an opportunity, Marty, over the weekend to go up to Angel Stadium to the Big A, like a lot of people from San Diego County as well. So you had a chance at least to pop into the clubhouse. We'll play some of that coming up. I don't know. What do you think? When last we chatted, it was Friday. It's the last time you and I spoke. Anything new on ownership? It's been so quiet. No confirmation from the club. No confirmation from the reported buyers. No real updated reporting. Scott Lewis of Voice of San Diego did have an interesting detail that Saquon is part of this purchase, which I think is good on a local level. So, that's the
local tie-in, right? When we're talking about you want to have a local connection, that would be it. Saquon.
I think that's good.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I can, speak a little bit from my own experience here. Let me make sure. I'm on the wrong mic, aren't I?
No, you sound good.
No, I'm off. Hold on.
You want to take okay.
No, hold on. Well, let me just switch my mic.
Okay. Do you want me to take a quick pause? I can do that.
Nope.
Now you sound crispy. That's good.
Yeah, see? I'm just a disaster.
Wow.
This TV thing just knocked me off my...
That appearance just really did you a number, Darren. I had no idea.
I realized I just didn't have the right microphone plugged in. Anyhow, where were we? What was I talking about?
What did we learn from Angel Stadium from this weekend? Yeah. Really nothing. I mean, I asked Craig Stammen about that on Friday. I was at Angel. That was the one game, the stinker of the weekend. I went to that game, the Matt Waldron start on Friday, and that was the buzz. That was the. You want a lot of times payoffs when you go on the road. You never know what you're going to get. I picked the right day to go, but the wrong game for a baseball standpoint. Anyways, I asked Craig Stammen. He said, I can't comment on that until it's official. I can't say anything about that. But that didn't stop the players. And you mentioned we'll hear from Manny Machado shortly, but he did say that he has spoken. He had spoken with the Feliciano. So there is confirmation that he's made some phone calls to some key players on that team. Guys, he'll be responsible for paying, for the next 8-10 years or so. So that was the confirmation that it is happening because he's spoken to some players. So.
Okay. Well, that's good. And again, and when Manny says that, I think, when you spoke to him, now that I'm thinking about it, did he say that he spoke to Jose Feliciano? Because I'm thinking also that Manny's involvement with San Diego Football Club, which as people know, is owned, I think 50%, about half of ownership is Saquon, is the Kumeyaay band of the Kumeyaay tribe, I should say. So, now that information came out afterwards. That would seem to make a lot of sense that Manny Machado has a direct line, let's say, to a guy like Cody Martinez.
Okay.
Who, I know that they would know on a personal level. So
who could facilitate it. But then again, because I don't think he was there. I'll have to go back and listen to the entire thing because I don't think that Manny was at the Peoria Sports Complex when a bunch of these guys came through to tour the facility.
Right. So. Right. And I think AJ Preller said on Ben and Woods on Friday that he was at the Peoria Sports Complex and did have a little bit of interaction with the different prospective buyers at the time, and presumably that would mean Jose Feliciano.
But didn't Didn't you say, and I think it may have been Dennis Lin when he joined us on Fire Territory a couple of weeks ago, about how all the owners had met with all the different department heads, right? So I imagine they met with Preller and his guys for baseball ops. Then I'm sure they met with Eric Grupner and his staff for the business side. So all these guys have met with at least the top VPs of the organization. Right?
Seems to be the situation, although I don't know that for certain.
Okay.
And don't want to get myself in trouble here. But, you know, I mean, there's a million questions. I mean, there's so many questions being asked. You mentioned Eric Grupner.
Yeah.
Is Eric Grupner more likely to stay, or is he more likely to cash out? What about some of the other owners, Marty, whose names we maybe don't know or don't talk about a lot, right? Padres are going to Mexico City.
Right.
They're going to be going and playing in the stadium owned by Alfredo Harpelú, who is one of the owners of the Padres.
And last time they were there a couple of years ago, he hosted the entire team for an extravagant dinner at his
Does he
place.
stay, or is he being bought out as well? And I don't think anybody really knows the answer to that. And if he does want to stay, does he just get to stay at the current percentage, or what has happened in years past? And this is really like out of my depth, so I don't want to spend a bunch of time talking about it. But my understanding is when there have been other owners involved and the team has undergone an ownership restructure, you don't just get to keep it. You have to buy in at the current rate. So now people might have to buy in at a higher rate, at a $3.9 billion valuation if you want to stay in, which is maybe a lot different than what they had previously bought in for. So again, this is totally out of my depth. Somebody's explaining this to me. I'm like, It's like listening to my financial advisor. I'm like, yeah. What?
What do you tell me where to sign? Tell me where to sign.
I don't know what you're saying exactly, but yes, okay, I'm going to pretend like I do because I don't want to look like an idiot. So, you know, like we don't really know. We don't really know any of this stuff. So,
but didn't we also?
It's just these are the questions.
And again, I can't remember if it were Dennis, and I feel I'm kicking myself. I think it was on this channel that some of these that there were guys who wanted to cash out before we knew that John said he was going to sell. They wanted to cash out, but when they found out how the process was going, they were more inclined to stay in the process. So it'll be interesting.
Maybe that was a good idea. But, you know, as we know, Eric Grupner has some equity due to, you know, we know this because of Dennis Lin's reporting.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, again, equity for CEOs, you know, like I'll give you an example. Larry Lucchino's a guy who had equity in the Boston Red Sox for many years, cashed out at the end of his run there, cashed out for quite a bit of money. You know, got to walk away and you know, cashed in. I think, you know, the number that I heard is somewhere like over $40 million. 1%. If Eric Grupner had 1% of this, you can do the math on that. I think
I can't. I can't do the math.
I think it's like $35 million.
Holy smokes.
Does he cash out? Is he like, and listen, Eric Grupner's done a really good job. I know people sometimes, you know, go out of their way to, you know, sling some arrows in that direction. But in terms of the actual business of baseball at Echo Park, this person is responsible for a lot of the valuation that we're even discussing today. But you know, I'd be guessing if I had any idea what his future is. Some people that you talk to off air think he's going to stick around. Other people think that he's going to just cash out, and we'll see him next, you know, leading some ownership someplace and maybe a different sport in this country. Who knows? I don't, you know, these are all the things that really don't have any answers today, that they're just questions that are circulating around on group texts and phone conversations. Yeah, absolutely. So I understand, like, a lot of this is, there's a lot of, you know, for a lot of fans, I get totally we don't really care about this. Like, is the guy going to spend money or not? You know, like, that's all we really care about. What's the kind of owners he going to be here? I don't really care who gets paid, who doesn't get paid. What does this mean for the team? Right. You know, and oftentimes inside of a clubhouse, Marty, that's kind of the same attitude, right? Yeah. You know, I don't know how many people in there really care what's going to happen to some of these minority owners if they get paid out or if they have to reinvest their money or whatever. But I think they care, like, so what does this mean for the project? Are we going to keep building? You know, are we going to be able to add? Are we going to be able to, you know, keep going out there, trade for players, buy players, sign free agents, all that sort of stuff? Is that what we're doing around here? Or are we going to chart a different path? I don't know. And again, it's anybody's guess at this point, right? Yep.
That's exactly it. You heard that open from Manny saying that. Okay. You heard the open from Manny saying that he was just happy to have some closure because it's been a thing. All right. Here's the beginning with Manny when I ran in the clubhouse and I was late. I was so angry because it was It was Star Wars Mandalorian Grogu jersey giveaway, Darren. And so when I'm going through a checkpoint, no one cares about this, but they had like a bunch of people who were dressed up as, Darth Maul or whatever else. And you have to go through a checkpoint behind them with their lightsabers. It took a while. So I got in right when Manny started talking.
You can give, right? It's not about the number, but that entails what they want to do with the organization. And that's huge for us, I don't think we met them, and looking forward to meeting them and having conversations about what they think about the organization. I think it's special that they went out there and they put that number out there for us. It tells you everything they want for the organization. So looking forward to those conversations and what they see the future of San Diego.
You met them during spring training?
I wasn't there, but I briefly did have phone calls. Yeah.
What do you just know in general about this group and what they've done with, I guess, just soccer or other things?
Yeah. Obviously just brief conversations. I think, ultimately it's just the same thing when I signed here 10 years ago and, built relationships with Ron, built relationships with Peter. I think, this falls under that same tree, just looking forward to a long relationship and what's best for the ball club. At the end of the day, I think, that's what we want here. It's what's best for the San Diego Padres and this organization, and how can we get to where we want to get to, which is to bring a championship to the city of San Diego. And that's a big stepping stone, $3.9 billion. I'm excited.
Initial reaction when you saw the number? Surprise or?
I wasn't surprised. No, I wasn't. I know what we had there. I know what the city has, and obviously this is why I signed here a long time ago. So, I wasn't surprised.
Manny, I think Artie Moreno is the one Latino owner in Major League Baseball. What does it mean to have a second one?
That's huge. That is, wow. That's unbelievable. Having another Latin come and be a part owner, be a part of that. I think that's, tells you a lot about where baseball's heading. And, blessed to have another Latin owner that could come here and bring that Latin culture to obviously San Diego, who already is a big part of the Latin community. I know he's going to bring a lot of great things to the organization and to the city itself, and his wife as well. So, I think, they're going to be very great for, the city of San Diego.
There's been like a lot of turmoil the past since Peter passed. Is there like a sense of closure for you that this chapter's over and you guys are now moving on to a new one?
Definitely for sure. I think everybody in here, honestly, the clubhouse, we're not really, those are things that are out of our control. We can't control those things. We can go out there and play some good baseball like we've been doing, and we're going to continue to do that. I think our goal is to do that, but to definitely know that we have a future ahead of us, and not just a little running out of words here, but just knowing that we have a future ahead of us and know what a game plan could be, is motivating.
All right. Well, there you go, man. Now, again, listening it back, and now with the information about Saquon, you're sort of like, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, do we want to spend a second on what happened in London this past weekend with these protests? Because I keep getting asked about it, and I know some of the stuff that I've said is like getting passed around. And
no, Darren,
listen, for the record, I don't follow the English Premier League. I don't follow Chelsea Football Club. So I do want to be clear that most of what I've heard about this, I've just heard by listening to podcasts. Okay. So I have tried to find somebody who's involved in Chelsea, somebody who's part of like their trust, and somebody who covers them on a regular basis. But these are some of the images from over the weekend about this protest we were talking about on Friday, that the fans aren't happy. And why would they be? This team lost again. I think it's the first time in 28 years they've lost 4 consecutive matches without scoring or goals. Things aren't going great. And it's not just about wins and losses and results. Now you can zoom in on this picture, which is an interesting one. This is the protest. They claim there was, a couple thousand people. I'm not going to sit here and count. I'm not really good at that. But you can see in the front there, Bedad Igbali, that's Jose Feliciano's partner. at Clear Lake. Todd Bowley, owner of the Dodgers. He's part of a different private equity group, and they formed this consortium to buy Chelsea Football Club called Blueco. So just to sort of separate this, because I think there's a lot of confusion. So, and you can see there, it looks like it says Feliciano. I think it says Feliciano out. Todd Bowley go. There's this. I mean, for listening on the podcast, this isn't great. I'll try to put the picture up on the Substack link. Actually, Mark Walter, not welcome.
I don't see where it says Feliciano. I was just going to ask you about that.
Right over the effing. Right over the effing there.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. But it almost looks like it says like Feliciano, but maybe that's an F. I'm not sure.
No, you're right. That is Feliciano. Okay, never mind. I was looking at the signs in the front, the bigger signs.
Yeah. So, I mean, they want, Big Daddy Bali and Todd Bowley to leave the club and to sell the club. And they feel like if they put enough pressure on this club that these people might sell. And that's a completely ridiculous concept for people that watch sports in the United States, because Jerry Jones would never sell the Dallas Cowboys. I'm a Knicks fan. James Dolan would never sell the New York Knicks. Fans hate James Dolan. Hate him. Like, there have been protests against James Dolan. And you know what his response is? Get out. Like, get out of the stadium.
Lifetime ban.
Right. So he's like, get the fuck out of here. I don't care what you say.
Okay.
And that's the response. But in that culture, this sometimes does have an impact. The example that I would give you is the Glazers with Manchester United, who owned the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Eventually, after he squeezed every last dollar out of Manchester United, they did do enough that they sold Manchester United. Now, I don't know that they're in a better position, but that's not the point. So they did have an impact, and Chelsea fans feel like they might be able to do the same with Blueco.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned this, because I was going to ask you about that, because I'm just thinking the last time there was like a large scale protest. Are protests in soccer against ownership common, Darren? Because just imagine, I mean, the Mets, for instance, have lost like 11 games in a row. They're a complete disaster. I imagine the Mets fans are unhappy, but they're probably not going to have launch a protest against Steve Cohen, right? Even though he's spending a ton of money and it's been an absolute disaster over there. But you have disgraceful NFL teams here. And I don't know that the way we protest is to wear a paper bag over our heads. That kind of seems to be it. Is this more representative of the soccer culture, European soccer culture, than anything else?
I think in extreme circumstances, yes. I mean, there's only so much you can do again. And I think part of this is the wins and the losses, and I did say, fans are, they were used to a certain way of operations under the Russian oligarch, Roman Abramovich. And, he would just spend and these guys have spent money, but the idea is that they're spending, like the point of their spending is to somehow still make money. Like, they're spending money. Like, we're going to spend $10 million on this player because we would think we can sell him for 40. And that's a profit, and that's good business. And people should be happy about that. Our fans should be happy about that. And instead, the fans are like, what? Like, this isn't why we became Chelsea fans. If we were interested in smart spending and fiscal responsibility, we'd be Brentford fans. The soccer fan will get that line. Okay. So, that's not why we're Chelsea fans. We're in Chelsea because we just want you to spend to win, not to spend to try to make more money. And it seems a little bit unclear. Now, there's other stuff going on. It's not just, again, about wins and losses. There's some ticketing thing that I don't fully understand, that they don't really like. Management can't get it right. They're not listening to the fans about other issues. So there's a lot of other stuff. It's not just wins and losses, because somebody would look at the standings and be like, I don't know, it doesn't seem that bad to me. But, it is a little bit more than that. They're going to be offloading some players again, apparently, upcoming this offseason, because they're not going to be in Champions League football. So, there's a lot of stuff going on there that I don't expect everybody to understand, because I don't understand it. But the bottom line is, like, they're not interested. They're like, we're Chelsea fans. We don't care about your smart spending and your spreadsheets and your data points and all the sort of stuff and your private equity attitude. Like, it's not why we became fans of this team.
Who's Darren? Who is the main control person?
So I think it is Feliciano's partner at Clear Lake, Igbali. I think, him and Todd Bowley have been the main guys, which has been pointed out by Padre fans, and it should be pointed out. But as you saw there in that picture, Feliciano's name he's like third. He's not some coat rack in the back room. He's a really big deal. Like, he does speak on their behalf. He does speak at some of these conferences, Marty, that I was just talking about.
Yes.
Where he's, going on about asset acquisition and all that sort of thing. Stuff that I just I don't get it. I saw a picture of one of the protests of his face, crossed out, and you're like, oh, what's that about? So, it's not like he's just a bystander in this.
Okay.
He's part of it. He's just not as part of it as Todd Bowley or Bedat Iqbali, whose names you see there on that front poster if you're watching on Marty Time TV. But again, maybe this is just Chelsea's problem. It's not just Chelsea's problem. So you might see on the right side again, if you're watching on Marty Time TV, well, what's that language in the lower right-hand corner? I believe that's French, because they also own a French club. So a bunch of fans from their French club got on an airplane, flew to London so they could be part of this protest. So like it's Strasbourg is the name of the club. Like they own both of them. And sometimes they move players back and forth. They move the coach from one team to the other. It's just very kind of like, what are you talking about? But some of their fans literally, Marty, got on an airplane and flew from Strasbourg to go to London to be part of this protest. So,
Darren, you've been you've been a sports fan. You've been a sports fan your entire life. When's the closest you've ever been to protesting, wanting to protest something in March?
I mean, I'm a Knicks fan. What do you? This is.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, we remember locally. Remember when a lot of fans collaborated and got together because they wanted to express their frustration with Mike D. Do you remember that? There was like a Mike D out day. Do you remember that?
I don't remember the Mike D out day. Where was that at? Was that at Petco Park?
Oh, like the local online Padre community rallied round and
to out him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember they had to write stories about it in the Union Tribune.
I got to go back and look at this stuff.
Yeah. Anyhow, again, what does any of this have to do? I don't know. I just don't, I don't know. I think it's interesting. And now I'm drawn to it. And now I'm like reading more and more and watching more of these Chelsea YouTube videos to see this sort of stuff. And they believe that they might have this ownership group at least on the run, or at least responding to them after, 4 years or whatever. And I mean, they've won a couple of things in the last year, but it just doesn't seem to be satisfying. But on the field, Marty, like I don't want to, I know that we can't just go on it forever, but like we should talk on the field because the Padres have won, 5 straight series.
I know. Is it too soon to say that Craig Stammen should be an early candidate for Manager of the Year?
No. No. I asked on a Discord channel, on the Section 1904 Discord channel. I said, what is the biggest reason for the Padres' recent form? What are your opinions? Alex Payne, Mason Miller, guy shortens games. Take the lead, give the ball to Miller, game over. Only Padres. Starting pitching is outperforming expectations. Ramon Laureano, the best offensive player on the team.
I would start there. I would start there. I would literally start. I know we can go ahead and say Mason Miller, and he's been ridiculous. Darren, 1 inning away from tying Clay Meredith for the most consecutive scoreless innings in Padres history. And you felt good about your bullpen even last year, even before Mason Miller got. Now, what he got here, what he's doing is ridiculous. But you felt good with Robert Suarez. You've always felt good about the close situation. To me, the biggest difference is Ramon Laureano solving a bunch of different. I mean, think of all the frustrations fans had last year over Luis Ariz and how he fits the team and the lack of slug. Ramon Laureano does everything, and he plays a pretty damn good left field as well. So I think that has been really one of the most pleasant surprise, especially considering Tatis. This is crazy, Darren. April 20th. And he's still looking for his first home run. Fernando Tatis Jr. Haven't seen it there. Manny Machado is not hitting like he's expected to. Like I expect him even at this point. So I think Ramon Laureano has really been that guy. And you do have a deeper lineup, and they've all found ways to contribute. I think Luis Campusano has been a big surprise.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to it. I have more responses here since I sought them out. Okay. Angel or Angel. Good pitching this stretch. We played the Rockies before they started cheating. That's funny. Soul619 says, Luis Campusano, his emergence. Miguel Andujar, hitting like we thought he would. Stammen's ability to be flexible with the lineup. And Xander is finally hitting with runners in scoring position. Yes,
that is a great point. Can't overlook Xander Bogaerts and the way he's contributed this season. He has been a huge difference maker. He really has.
Brocone says Krager vibes are better than Schilt vibes. Dude. Bottom of the lineup, starting rallies. Luis Ariz not being at the top to kill them. It's a good line. Jody says that Bradley Rodriguez. Now, I've been saying Bradley, but I don't think that's right. Is it pronounced Bradley?
I keep hearing it Bradley, and I don't hear it in the G.
I hear that on the broadcast that it's Bradley, so my apologies. Okay. It looked like Bradley to me, and so I got that wrong.
Why is that G there?
Yeah. I do think the Krager vibes over the Schilt vibes is again, with the context that there was a lot of games won under Mike Schilt.
Yes.
You know what I like about Craig Stammen, the actual former big leaguer? He doesn't feel the need to put on a baseball costume every day and wear a jersey, like cosplay like he's still a player. He just goes with a sweatshirt.
Like the hoodie? He has the
Yeah,
hoodie.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I don't know why that just bugged me about Mike Schilt, that he wore this baseball jersey and was insistent on wearing a baseball jersey every day. Like, it just felt like you're cosplaying for
baseball
player.
You're a big wardrobe. We started this show talking about wardrobe, and you have a wardrobe fixation that really bugged you. But I just like that he seems authentic. We've all heard good things about Craig Stammen. I mean, it was great covering him as a player, right? But what strikes me is he's authentic. He comes in the post game, hey guys, same demeanor no matter what. It's very, very conversational person, and he's not condescending. And there's going to be, listen, a lot of things are going right for the Padres, but there's going to be time they're going to hit really tough stretches. And I think that he's going to be kind of that same guy all the time. So I do like that he's authentic. I like that he doesn't talk down to people. So I do appreciate that. And also his press games, his post-game press conferences are shorter because he does not feel the need to go ahead and praise every single damn player on the roster, which saves a lot of time. Efficient.
Will says bullpen, Marquez Buehler not being terrible. Niebla deserves a ton of credit. Yeah, I mean, so some pretty good responses there because I like finding out what do people think. Like what are you guys seeing out there? Because the team is 15-7 and they've won 5 straight series, and that's after losing the first 2 when we thought that the vibes and the lack of slug and everything else. Mason Miller's been a big part of this as well, shortening some of these games, Marty. I know they're going to go to Colorado, and that's 5,300, 5,400 feet, whatever.
And Mexico City.
And then Mexico City, which is 8,000 feet of elevation. So which streak will come to an end quicker? Tatis's homerless streak or Mason Miller's scoreless streak?
Tatis.
I would agree.
It's got to come to an end.
Let's do a complete 180 from where we were just a month ago. You ready?
Yes.
Could Fernando Tatis Jr. not be batting in the top 3 of this order?
No, because if he gets on base via a walk, he's going to come around to score. He's He's a guy, you get on base, he can somehow score without them getting a hit. He's that good. So no.
Okay. So you want to keep him in the top 3? I don't know. Maybe Stammen was onto something. Maybe he should bat 7th.
Really? Are we going to do this? You want to go ahead and rework the 1 through 3? What's your 1 through 3? Laureano, give me your locks. Give me your locks in the lineup. Laureano.
Merrill.
Okay. And then
Manny.
What's wrong with X?
I like Manny there 3rd. Manny's still getting, he's not hitting, but he is getting on base. I don't think he's leading the team any longer, but he's 3rd or 4th, I think.
Laureano, Merrill, Manny, and then X. And then where do you want? So you want Tatis batting 5th?
I don't know, maybe 6th.
Wow.
I mean, just because you're playing second base doesn't mean you have to hit like one.
All right. I do want to mention that we do have a Friar Territory coming up tomorrow. I believe Jake Cronenworth is going to join the show, which I'm really, really, really looking forward to. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. By the way, let's go ahead and make it our QR codes. All right. Because Darren, if you want to go ahead and subscribe, first of all, to the Section 1904 pod, and I am working on some new designs, new fonts, all that fun stuff. You can go ahead and scan this QR code. Darren puts great stuff on there. I know that you put other stuff in additional to our show there, like you had the Marky Veras, you had a pregame interview with him, you do more on the soccer there, which is great. So this is for Section 1904. If you want to follow us, we have great content as well on Friar Territory. That is the QR code right there. Give it a second for you guys to see it. Hey, Darren, I want to mention one thing before we wrap up for today. And by the way, your pitching matchup for Colorado, let's see, Randy Vasquez, your boy, Walker Buehler goes on Wednesday versus Tomoyuki Sugano. And then Matt Waldron, man, we'll see what he has left on Thursday.
Okay.
So
a team, by the way, the Rockies, they're just a 2 or 3 from the Dodgers.
Yes.
The Dodgers have some problems with Edwin Diaz now, don't they?
Right. They're going from Tanner Scott being a disaster last season to Edwin Diaz. So
did you read Dylan Hernandez?
I did read that piece in the California Post.
Velocity down, his knee isn't right.
Yep. And Dave Roberts is sounding some concern. They need to go ahead and look into this. That could be something to pay attention to. I know it's too early. We have, I think, a month and change before the Padres and Dodgers play each other right now. But we're going to go ahead and talk about how these teams match up and the position of strength the Padres are in. You can probably start with the closer. You make the closer and work your way out. I want to mention one more thing, Darren, because it bugged me all weekend long on the Twitter. So I had the interview with Manny Machado, right? We all did this from his locker on Friday, talking about ownership. And it's always a good reminder. If you're going to engage with someone on social media, I need to remind myself not to do it with people who are just a-holes, right? And are trying to bait you or might be racist or sexist. It's good to go ahead and respond to people who are kind and appreciate and thoughtful. Or if they disagree with you, they know how to ask it like an adult. When I'm asking Manny Machado, is it a big deal that it's only the second Latino owner in Major League Baseball? And he's like, yeah, that's why it's a great. That's not me being racist. It's just something the reason why I'm asking that is it's because it's unique and it doesn't happen in this sport. And if you look at the makeup of owners in professional sports, especially the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, you don't have too many Latino owners. So me asking Manny that is not a racist comment. It's like me going to, a Japanese player and saying, what does it mean? You Darvish, same clubhouse. It's a comfort level thing. Are you frozen, Darren? So it's not racist. I just have to remind myself not to engage with people who just want to fight and pick a fight. There's nothing racist about that. It's happening. One day there might be a woman that owns a professional sports team, and I will ask somebody about that. So pointing out, it's the second time in Major League history it's happened. It's not a racist thing. Look at the makeup of the players in that clubhouse, other teams. Representation can matter sometimes, especially as the sport and the players that play it evolves. I'm done talking.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
I was really
social
annoyed.
media.
It's so stupid. It's just
not something I'm participating in for obvious reasons. But yes, I think what you said is right. Representation matters, especially in a sport where a third of the players are Latino. So, right. I don't know why anybody would object to that. Doesn't mean he's going to be a good owner, by the way.
No, it doesn't. No. That wasn't the point.
Not the point, but I do think that even Manny Machado himself, I think it's a big deal that he's part of ownership. I think it's a big deal that players now are starting to become owners in different sports.
Yep.
I do think that's good. I mean, I think that's going beyond just, hey, I want to earn a paycheck and make a bunch of money playing, but I'd also like to be involved on a level that players traditionally or people with different backgrounds haven't always had the opportunity to be a part of.
Yep.
So I don't know. I mean, good luck on social media these days.
Kieran, are you excited for the NFL draft this week?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
Cool.
Too busy. Trying to fix San Diego Football Club. Since we got to get back up and running here on Wednesday and try to get out of this 3-game losing streak.
What's happening?
I think
the corrects?
Okay, so a lot of things are happening. I would quickly point out the team had a 3-game losing streak in April of last year.
Okay.
Just because it was easy to overlook that. And people thought, okay, cute story, got off to a good start, but now reality set in. And, the team then took off afterwards and ended up winning the Western Conference regular season title. I am not saying that's going to happen here. As a matter of fact, I think that's probably not going to happen with this group.
Okay.
This group, it's been myriad things. It's been that CONCACAF Champions Cup took a toll. Like that will take a toll on you, on your roster, especially if you end up losing players. They went into this game against Real Salt Lake, Marty. They were without 6 defensive players. They were without Luca Bombino and Chris McVay, who were both starters. They were without Willie Kumado, Kieran Sargent, Wilson Eisner, and Ian Pilcher. They had to start a midfielder on the back line. So injuries are a real thing. Doesn't mean that some of that play early on, that your 19-year-old goalkeeper just gives it away in the fourth minute and gives them a goal. Obviously, that's a mistake that you should not ever expect. I don't care what circumstances are. I do think that their back line is really shaky. I think that there's some correctable mistakes, some passes that they normally could make just aren't being made. And there's not really any excuse for it other than players are not familiar with one another. They're not playing well with each other. So I do think that tournament took a toll. And I'll bring this up because it's not exclusive to SDFC. LAFC is in this tournament now. They still are in this tournament. And they had to play against a team from the Mexican League, Liga MX, Cruz Azul. And they played Cruz Azul, and then they lost to Portland. And then they played Cruz Azul again in Mexico City, and they just got run off their home field by San Jose. So this tournament will test your depth, and it does take a toll. So, when you have a little bit of a roster under construction, You don't have the benefit of having a preseason. You're asking players who have been injured to get caught up to speed in a short amount of time. Can they play better? Yes. Do I think that the answers are there? Most of them, but they might need some help in the summer transfer window when it opens up in July. But I still think it's a playoff team. I do. I don't think the sky is falling. I think it's probably a good thing that they have to play on Wednesday, so they don't have to sit around and think about this all week.
Okay.
I think being away, they didn't come home. They went from Salt Lake City. They went straight to Houston. So I think that will help them. It'll force guys to, hang out together for a little while longer, spend some time, go to dinners, go to lunches, go do all that sort of stuff, hang around the hotel with one another. They don't look connected. They're not playing well. There's no doubt. Like, they are not playing well, but they are also dealing with just an enormous amount of injuries. And I do think the whole red card thing got into their heads. And I say that because I saw the Real Salt Lake coach bring that up. Like, oh, we're going to go right after their defensive players.
Identify the weakness and go for it. And
well, you just, if you're worrying, Marty, that something is bad is going to happen, something bad might happen. And like in the third minute of this match, it looked like Manu Dua almost was like an inch away from kicking one of the Real Salt Lake players in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching, and I'm broadcasting it. I'm like, oh my God, did he hit him in the head? Because that's a red card. Like, I'm thinking to myself, we're going to get a red card in the third minute of this match. Thankfully, he just missed. And I think that the Real Salt Lake approach, and they're fast, and they were going to go right at the defenders because you're so thin at the back line that if you pick up an early yellow card, it's in the back of your head for the rest of the match. Like, I can't be the next guy that gets sent off here. So
it's going to change your style of play.
It's 100%, especially when you have players on the back line. You're without two starters, even though it's, one's a veteran, one's a 19-year-old, but still, like, they've proven their worth. So, they're just going through it. I mean, they just are. Like, it's not good. They're not playing well. They're dealing with a bunch of injuries. I still think a lot of this can be directly tracked back to that first game against Toluca at Snapdragon Stadium, where they get two players sent off. They've been dealing with red cards since that match. Thankfully, Wednesday will be one where they're not dealing with any sort of suspension or the repercussions from the suspension since that match at Snapdragon Stadium where they beat Toluca. So they've only had their back line, Marty, their starting back line for 2 of their 12 matches. Kind of a big deal. Wow. Now, you want depth, but the depth is all hurt.
2 out of 12? Yikes.
2 out of 12.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I
do not think the sky is falling. I still think it's a playoff team. I do believe that. Honestly, I'm not just saying that because I'm with the club. I just would avoid this if I thought that this was, they'd completely gone in the tank. I know people are going to scream for Chucky as well, but Chucky can't defend. Their problem is goal prevention. It's not scoring. And hopefully they get this together because they only have 7 to go before the World Cup. And, you look at the schedule, you play Houston on Wednesday, and then you play Saturday against a Portland team that's going to want to come in here with revenge from the playoffs.
On Saturday?
What's that? Yep. And 5 of the next 7 are at home. So, you also are going to benefit from this CONCACAF tournament because you're going to catch LAFC coming off a match against Toluca. So maybe that works in your favor here in an ironical way since I'm sitting here moaning on about that tournament, but it will, like, it just does. It just takes a toll on you. It just takes a toll on your roster. And I think we just have been wobbly since, but I think it'll get fixed. I really do believe that, and then you will go out there and find some reinforcements in the summer transfer window, I think. So, I'm not giving up on it. And I would say that other people probably shouldn't either, but that's just my own opinion.
Okay, Darren, I will bring it full circle back to the Padres before we wrap up today's show of Marty Time TV and the Section 1904 podcast. Because when you're talking about, getting on the road, we'll do them some good, right? And more time playing together. I'm kind of reminded of what Craig Stammen and players like Gavin Sheets said after that miserable first homestand, right? When they went by the Giants and the Tigers, and they go on the road, Boston, Pittsburgh. Gavin's and Craig said we needed some more time to go ahead and play together because you had guys that were away at the WBC, and then Gavin talked about how being on the road together, it made them even closer. To your point, you're eating meals together, you're traveling together, you're sharing stories, you're just more like camaraderie, and it brought them closer. And they, they had a very good road trip. So maybe getting on the road, getting away sometimes can have its benefit. We'll see how it applies.
Yep. Anyways. Yeah. I mean, and again, some of these guys got to get healthy, but I also think not having to sit around and think for a week, like, oh my God, we just got torn apart and give up 4 goals in a half, and then RSL kind of, put it into cruise control. But you gotta find your positives. Going through it, man. There's no doubt about it. They're not playing well. They got to play better, but also some things got to get sorted through here, and they got to get some players back on the field consistently, because they're a team that plays with a rhythm, and they just don't have any of that whatsoever right now. All righty. Well, that'll do it.
That'll do it. That's Darren Smith. I'm Marty Caswell. Thank you so much for watching Marty Time TV and the Section 1904 podcast. We'll be back with AJ Cassavell tomorrow. When I log off here, I'm going to go ahead and watch those clips of you and Darnay Tripp on NBC. I will be staring, Darren, at that button, gasping for air, for some breath.
Butterfly effect, right?
Because you
or Streisand effect, I should say.
Yes, you brought it to my attention now, and that's all I could think about. All right, guys, we're brought to you by the all-new Hilloa Casino Resort, the Players Place. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful Monday. We will talk to you tomorrow. How have you felt about your own start to this season? What you've been able to do?
Obviously, we won better numbers or whatever, but I've been playing some good baseball, playing defense, offense, hitting the ball hard in every part of the field. But looks like the baseball gods are really mad at me right now. It's all right, I'll take it. We got 5 more months of baseball, and I'm ready for it. I'm really prepared, and I have all the confidence in the world that it's going to turn around.